I've lived in Sylvan Lake since 1976, and I've sold real estate here for almost 26 years. And I'm going to tell you the things most people only find out after they've already moved. Sylvan Lake is one of the most searched places to live in Alberta right now. People are coming from Calgary, Edmonton, even out of province. And almost all of them are expecting the same thing: a slower pace, lower cost, a better lifestyle. And for a lot of people, that's exactly what they get, but not for everybody. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly whether Sylvan Lake is the right move for you or a mistake you'll quietly regret. Let's get into it. Here's the first thing that most people get wrong. Sylvan Lake is not just a lake town. It's a real growing community, now sitting at roughly 17,000 residents that have chosen to stay a town despite that growth. Because most lake towns in Alberta, they're seasonal. Great in the summer, dead in the winter. Sylvan Lake's different. You'll hear the town describe it as brilliant all year. The real question is that actually true for you? The lake itself is about 15 kilometers long with some of the best recreational water right here in Alberta. That's the big part of why this place draws over 1.5 million visitors a year. In July, this place just feels like a resort. In February, it's completely different energy. And that's exactly what people say. Because you're not just buying into a summer destination, you're moving into a real year-round town. Whether that's a good thing or not depends entirely on what you're expecting. I remember coming down here in the late 70s. I was a little kid. Obviously, it was quieter, life was simpler, more of a hidden spot than a destination. There was a beach, not much else. Watching it grow into what it is now, a real town with real infrastructure, real schools, real services, that's the part most people don't fully appreciate when they first move here. They see the lake and they think summer. Truth is, what you're really buying is the town. And the lake, well, that's the bonus. But here's the part that determines whether you actually love living here, and it has nothing to do with the lake. After 25 years in this market, almost everyone who moves to Sylvan Lake falls into 4 categories. And knowing which one you're in, the neighborhood, the price point, and the property type. The first is a lakefront buyer. Now, this is a different animal entirely. And I made a full video just for this person. Link is in the description. But I'll say this much here. Lakefront in Sylvan Lake isn't just cottages and vacation homes anymore. We have a lot of professionals from Sylvan Lake, Red Deer, and across Central Alberta who have built their careers, built their equity, and decided the next chapter happens on the water. They're not buying a getaway, they're buying a lifestyle upgrade. If that's you, watch that video before you make an offer. It could save you tens of thousands of dollars. The second category is out of the province or big city relocator. These are people coming from Calgary, Edmonton, but increasingly from, say, Ontario, Lower Mainland, Vancouver Island. They've done the math on what their money buys them where they are versus what it buys them here. And in Central Alberta, it keeps winning on that conversation. More home, more space, lower cost of living, and quality of life that's genuinely hard to find at this price point anywhere else in Canada. They're not just moving to Sylvan Lake, they're making a deliberate decision to plant roots somewhere where their dollar actually works. The third category is the move-up family. They're already living in Central Alberta. They know the area, they've watched Sylvan Lake grow, the family is growing, the income is there, and they've decided it's time to make that move into something maybe a little bit bigger, maybe a better home, better neighborhood, just looking for a better lifestyle. They don't need to be sold on Central Alberta. They just need the right property at the right time. And the fourth is the retiree or the pre-retiree. They've worked their whole life towards something like this, a lake community, a slower pace, a place where grandkids want to come to in the summer to visit, and a lifestyle that rewards them in every season. This is the group that almost always ends up happiest here because they came knowing exactly what they wanted. You know, knowing what category you're in shapes every decision that follows. Because choosing the wrong category is how people end up in the wrong part of Sylvan Lake. And the wrong part of Sylvan Lake is how people end up quietly regretting the move. Once you know which one you are, the next question is one of the most people get completely wrong: where you actually live here. This might be the most important part of this video. Where you live here matters more than the house itself. I'll say that again. Where you live here matters more than the house itself. I've seen people buy a property, a beautiful home, in the wrong location and spend the next 2 years wishing they'd asked different questions before they signed that offer. So let's go through the main areas. First, we got Lakeshore downtown area, cottage area. If you love energy, this is it. Restaurants, beach access, constant activity. In July, Lakeshore Drive is buzzing. It's one of the most vibrant lakefront streets in all of Alberta. But if you're expecting quiet in July, this is where people get caught off guard. Remember, you're steps from 1.5 million people annually visiting this town. That's either the dream or the problem, depending on who you are. Riders Ridge, Fox Run, a lot of different communities. One of them, but Riders Ridge is one of the most popular areas for those families right now. Newer homes, strong community feel, and a great balance between value and lifestyle. You're not on the water, but you're close. And you're in a neighborhood that actually feels like a neighborhood. Good access to amenities, growing fast for good reason. For a lot of move-up families, this is the sweet spot. Lakefront communities, this is the dream setup. Direct access to the water, incredible views, the dock, the boat, the whole experience. But it comes with a higher cost and ongoing maintenance that a lot of buyers seriously underestimate. Before you fall in love with a lakefront property, make sure you understand what you're actually buying. Watch that other video first, remember? Newer areas, best entry point in the market. We have modern builds, competitive pricing. Great options for first-time buyers or relocators who want to get into Sylvan Lake without stretching the budget. Now, here's something most people don't realize, and it reframes everything I just said about where to live. Yeah, Sylvan Lake draws over 1.5 million people a year, visitors, we know that. And yes, most people assume that's all in July and August. But the winter events, the ice fishing, the skating, the festivals, those numbers are growing year round now. The town is very busy every season. But here's the part that changes everything for full-time residents. The residential communities, Lakeway Landing, Fox Run, Riders Ridge, they're not in the middle of that. They're set back, quiet neighborhoods that actually feel like neighborhoods. You can live here and never feel like you're living inside a tourist destination. It's very quiet, peaceful. And then whenever you want, you can go down to the lake and join all the action. That's the best of both worlds. The energy is where you want it. The peace is where you don't, right? Most people moving here don't know that's something, until someone tells them that. Now you know. Before you fall in love with a house, ask yourself what your life actually looks like here. Because a Saturday in July and a Tuesday in February are two completely different realities. I've been here long enough to know both. And the people that actually thrive here, they love both. Now, let's talk about what actually costs. Because this is where a lot of people either get a great deal or get caught off guard. I had a client from Calgary not that long ago. They didn't just want out of the city, but they just didn't want any small town either. They told me, we don't want quiet for the sake of quiet. We want something that we actually feels like a place we want to live. We want to sink our teeth into the community. And when we started looking in Sylvan, it just clicked for them. A clean, usable lake, not just something to look at. A real community of over 17,000 people. Red Deer, less than 20 minutes away. We're right in the middle of the QE2 corridor, about 90 minutes to Calgary, 90 minutes to Edmonton. They said this feels like the perfect middle ground. And that's really what Sylvan Lake is for a lot of people. Not too big, not too small, just enough of everything. So what does it actually cost? Detached homes in Sylvan Lake range from low 400s to a little bit over 800,000 for newer custom builds. If you're coming from Calgary, that number is going to feel different because in Calgary, the low 400s gets you something very different than what it's going to get you here. Here, you're getting more home, more lot, more lifestyle, and a lower property tax bill. Lakefront start around 700,000 to 800,000 for a lot, and they go well past 2 million, 3 million, 4 million, depending on the community, the frontage, and the lot itself. Day-to-day costs, such as groceries, fuel, services, they're similar to most Alberta communities here in Sylvan Lake. Nothing surprising there. Property taxes are a little bit lower than you'd see in Calgary or Edmonton, and that adds up over time. And if you're buying a lakefront, watch my other video before you make the offer. Remember that. Dock maintenance, shoreline upkeep, older infrastructure, and some of those properties, that stuff adds up. Those numbers catch people off guard every single year. Anyways, as you know, knowledge is your superpower. And the buyers who come in, informed always make better decisions than the ones that fall in love first and ask questions later. The bottom line is this. You're not just buying a property here, you're buying a lifestyle. And that's what people are really paying for. The lifestyle is there and the value is there. But there are two practical things that have held some families back from making this move. And one of them just changed. For years, schools were part of the hesitation for families considering Sylvan Lake. We heard it constantly. We love it here, but the schools, there's not enough and they're old. That conversation just changed. 2 new schools are coming to Sylvan Lake, including a long overdue high school. If schools were the reason you were hesitating, that reason just got a lot smaller. This is a big deal for our community, and it's going to affect the real estate market too. Families who were on the fence now have one less reason to wait. Healthcare works well for most people here. We do have an urgent care center right in Sylvan Lake for our day-to-day needs. Red Deer Regional Hospital is 20 minutes away, a full hospital with full services. For most family, that's completely workable. But if you need a specialist care or big city medical access on a daily, weekly basis, monthly basis, you need to factor that into your decision. This isn't a drawback unique to Sylvan Lake. It's a trade-off that comes with choosing a lake community like Sylvan over a major city. And for most people who move here, it's a trade-off they're happy to make. All of that is the upside. Now, here's the part most videos skip because it's the reason some people quietly regret moving here. Most videos about Sylvan Lake won't tell you this part, so I will. Summer is incredible, and it's busy. Like I said, over 1.5 million visitors come through here every year. You feel every one of them when you're down on the beach in July or down on Lakeshore Drive, the beach, the restaurants, the marina. It is alive in a way that very few lake towns in Alberta can match, if at all. On July 1st, the town shoots fireworks over the water on Canada Day. The whole community comes out. If you want that energy, Sylvan Lake delivers it completely. If you want quiet in July near the lake, you need to know that going in. But remember what I said about residential communities, Foxroy, Lakeway Landing, Riders Ridge, all of them. Quiet streets, friendly neighbors, your own pace. The action is always there if you want it. It's just not in your backyard unless you choose it. Now, here's what most people don't expect. Winter. People hear Lake Town, Alberta, and they assume the place goes dark in October and wakes up in May. That is not Sylvan Lake, and I want to prove it to you. Starting in November, the town wraps the pier, all the trees on the pier, with 300,000 lights for the winter village. There's skating rink, right there, a light tunnel. The whole waterfront is transformed, and it runs all the way through till March. The town doesn't apologize for winter. It leans into it hard. The lake itself doesn't close either. The town maintains skating surfaces, 2 of them, right on the ice. Think about that for a second. The same lake you're boating on in July, you're skating on in January. And beyond the skating, the lake is generally busy all winter long. Hundreds of ice fishing shacks stretched all over the ice, snowmobiles running routes you'd never see in the summer. The Family Winter Festival brings whole community out. We have dragon boat races on the ice, something you actually have to see to believe. Amazing. And on January 1st, the town shoots fireworks over the lake, right off the pier. Amazing. While people are watching from the Lakeshore Drive in the warmth of their cars or their winter jackets. July 1st fireworks over the water, January 1st fireworks over the ice. Love it. Same lake, 2 completely different worlds, both of them worth showing up for. That is what brilliant all year actually means. And this isn't just something I'm saying because I've lived here since 1976. The town has deliberately been building this for years. They've said it themselves. Sylvan Lake is a winter culture. The events, the ice, the community, it's all intentional. This town decided a long time ago that summer was just the beginning. February is one of my favorite months. The pace slows down from the summer. The energy is different, but the community, it shows up. And that's the thing about Sylvan Lake that most newcomers don't fully understand until they've lived here through a winter, though. The lake brings you here, but the community makes you stay. That is not a line. That's what I've watched happen for the last 50 years, right? If you're commuting to Red Deer, it's manageable. It's only 20 minutes east on Highway 11. Calgary's 90 minutes south on the QE. Edmonton's about 90 minutes north. Very similar distance. For people working remotely, it's not an issue. For people commuting to Red Deer, we've already talked about it. For people commuting to Calgary or Edmonton daily, you need to be honest with yourself about whether that works for your lifestyle or not. Some people make it work and love it. Others find it wears on them over time. Know which one you are before you sign. And the community itself, it's tight. People know each other. You'll run into neighbors at the grocery store, down at the lakes, at the rink. That's something you'll love or something you just have to adjust to. Most people who move here, it becomes one of the things they truly love most. If you want a quick reference guide to every neighborhood in Sylvan Lake, the lifestyle, the price range, and each area actually is best, text me the word guide at 587-815-5152, and I'll send it to you right away. No cost, no obligation, just information you need to make a smart decision. Sylvan Lake is a great fit if you want a 4-season lake community with real identity. The town that has grown up but hasn't lost what has made it special. It is not the right fit if you need major city at your doorstep every day. The people to succeed here came for the right reasons. They understood the trade-offs going in. They came for the lifestyle, not just the location. The ones who struggle, they came for the idea of Sylvan Lake, the dream of what it would feel like without fully thinking it through what it would actually look like on a Tuesday in November. So ask yourself, are you buying a lifestyle or just a location? Because that answer determines everything. Come for a visit in the off season. Walk Lakeshore Drive in October. Drive through Riders Ridge in February. Because if it still feels right when it's quiet, that's when you know it can be brilliant all year. That Calgary client, they called me a year later. They said, we thought we were moving for the lake. Turns out we moved for everything else. The community, the pace, the way the town shows up for itself. That's the decision you're actually making. Not just where you live, how you want to live. If you want honest guidance from someone who has been fiercely local here for 50 years, that's where we come in. And if Lakefront is on your radar, watch that next video before you do anything else. It could save you tens of thousands of dollars. I'm Pat Garritty with the Trillion Real Estate Group.